Hello and welcome to this lecture where we're going to be looking at a few more features of the piano roll. So one thing to mention is you can actually set up a loop cycle inside the piano roll. So at the moment we have a red bar between bars 1 to 5, and this actually indicates we have a loop for this section. We can also delete this by command clicking on a Mac or control clicking on Windows. And to draw a new cycle range, simply command and click on a Mac or control and click on Windows up here on this timeline. And now if we play the pattern back, you can hear it loops around just these first two chords. And I'm just going to turn this loop off by command clicking on Mac or control clicking on Windows. So now if we press play, the whole pattern will actually loop. And at the moment, our pattern is 4 bars in length. One common mistake in the piano roll is accidentally having notes extend past the bar, therefore increasing the length of the pattern. So for example, in this last chord here, if we make one of these notes slightly longer than 1 bar, then the pattern will actually be 5 bars long rather than 4 bars long. I'm just going to zoom in slightly with the shortcut Shift and 3, and then scroll over to this last chord. And I'm just going to extend one of these notes. And I'm just going to zoom out by pressing Shift and 2. And now if we play this pattern back, you'll notice it's 5 bars long rather than 4 bars long. When creating music, I generally recommend having the patterns be 1, 2, 4 or 8 bars in length, as this is a good way to keep your session organized and is quite an effective way of writing music. So if your patterns are the incorrect length, just go into the piano roll and make sure they end in the correct place. Sometimes you may need to hold down Alt to drag the note back so it doesn't snap to the certain snap setting you have selected. And now you can see this note finishes just before the bar, and if we play this back, you'll be able to hear it's a 4-bar loop again. Also in FL Studio, you can half or double the length of your pattern by selecting all of the notes and then choosing the icon that appears at the right-hand side of the pattern. So you can select all of the notes by hitting Command A on Mac or Control A on Windows. And then go to the small icon over here, which is at the right of these notes. And if you click and drag this to the left, this will allow you to half the pattern. And if you click and drag this to the right, you can double the length of your pattern. So right now, just for this example, I'm going to half the length of these notes. So now we'll have 2 chords per bar. And you can always press Command Z on a Mac or Control Z on Windows to undo this. Remember, if you need to undo more than one stage, you also need to hold down Alt. Okay, another thing to mention is if you're not used to playing the keyboard or reading music, you can have more of the note names appear on this piano keyboard. At the moment, it just tells us where the C note is, but if we wish, we can have all of the note names appear on the white notes. To do this, go over to the piano roll options in the top left here, and then go down to View. And then under the piano roll section, go to Key Labels, and we can change this to All Notes. This won't tell us the note names of the black notes, but will tell us the note names of all of the white notes. So like I said, this can help if you're not used to reading music or playing the keyboard. Another feature which I believe is handy but isn't one of the default settings in FL Studio is being able to resize the note length by the left side of the note. So as you've seen before, if you hover the mouse over the right hand side of the note, you can adjust the length of the note here. However, by default, on the left-hand side, you're unable to do this. So if you'd like to enable this, go over to the piano roll options in the top left, and then go down to Edit. And then from here, check Allow Resizing from Left. And now if we go back to the note, you can see we can resize this from the left side as well as the right side. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to talk about in this lecture now is editing the note velocities. So the velocity is how hard the note is hit. So for example, on a piano, if you play the note very softly, compared to as you play the note very hard, it will give you a different type of timbre as well as different volume. So the easiest way to adjust the velocity in the piano roll editor here is just select the note that you'd like to change, and then hold Alt and scroll. And you can see this red line here, which indicates the note velocity. And I'm going to select another note and do the same. You can also select multiple notes by clicking and dragging while holding Command on a Mac or Control on Windows. And then you can adjust the velocity for multiple notes by holding down Alt and then scrolling. So let's have a look at this velocity editor down here. So these 3 bars here, these represent the 3 different notes, and you can see they're at 3 different velocity levels. Sometimes you may see velocity go up to 127. In FL Studio, the velocity is represented by percentage with these vertical velocity bars down here. We can also draw in velocity by using the draw tool. So we can click on each individual bar here. Also, to deselect any notes you have highlighted, just press Command D on Mac or Control D on Windows. And then with the draw tool, you can click to adjust these velocity bars down here. However, I quite like selecting the notes and scrolling with Alt, as I find this an efficient way to change the velocity, especially for chords, as this allows you to adjust the velocity of individual notes from a chord. Okay, so that's a quick overview of the piano roll. We haven't spoken about everything in the piano roll because it is a very powerful tool. But hopefully now I've shown you enough so you can start creating your own music with this piano roll. Thanks for watching, I hope you found this useful, and I'll see you in the next lecture.